Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, once again to the Chelsea Roar, the Chelsea show by the fans for you, the fans, hosted by me, Ian Kelly. I was about to say Ian the Dynamo Kelly there. People will know me from my Dynamo's Dozen show, but Ian Kelly, if you want to call me Dynamo, that's fine. And I am joined once again, returning guest, friend of the show, Twitter maestro, my friend and yours, Mr. Baris Agun. And I hope I got
Hello.
the name right again.
You did. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Better than my clients, actually.
You may know him, of course, on Twitter. All of our fans are on Twitter. You may know him as Viali's Chelsea.
Yeah.
Always got
Yeah.
some great opinions on there and a lot to say. A proper Chelsea fan. People remember you from the last time, so we don't need to
No.
do the introductions again. You're part of the lore now within the
Yeah.
Chelsea fan base. And I suppose before we talk about anything, how have you been? You've had a busy
Busy.
back and forth
Yeah.
from Turkey.
Busy. So my job, I manage quite a lot of people, clients in Turkey. So Istanbul's the biggest area. Then I've got Ankara. I've got Izmir on the Aegean. But I manage 147 law firms. Work for a big, large legal global publishing company. So I'm doing events and all this stuff. So I'm out there a lot. That's my database, my client base. Being Turkish, the company wants me to go out and do more. So all good. Yeah, and busy. I was out for a month, 5 weeks between May and June. That was the period when I don't know if you saw it. I got Mad Montana actually, who's on Twitter. I got his kid a Fenerbahce top because he likes to collect kits, and it's a really cool kit. Really good shirt. And then for a wedding, I'm going out 2 weeks holiday, and then I'm back out there for 7.5, 8 weeks from October. I've got a big conference to organise. So yeah, busy. Maybe one day we'll do something on Turkish football. Maybe.
Yeah,
By that point,
100%,
I might know a bit about
100%, 100%. Listen, I watched that live. I watched that one and only
it.
Galatasaray game back in the day live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drubbing,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yes.
Where we
Yes.
thought
And
Dennis Wise was going to hit it over the bar and he
that's
got it
it.
right into the top corner.
Yeah. There's a story about that. It was so funny. A very quick story. I back then I was staying at my dad's, and my dad's a Fenerbahce fan. My dad's closest friend is a Galatasaray fan, and Champions League draw. I didn't actually watch it. I was out at the beach or something. Came back. My father said, "Guess who you've drawn?" It's Galatasaray, and I thought, okay. And then that evening we're having dinner with his friends, and then they're all doing the welcome to hell. You're going to get screwed. They had a decent team actually. They had Popescu. They had Taffarel in goal. They had a few other, the Brazilian international keeper at the time. They obviously had Hadji, who was still very good at that point. They came to Stamford Bridge, drew with us. I think it was 0-0. I think
0-0,
it was 0-0. We went over there, and that was the old stadium, which is very intimidating. Yeah, welcome to hell. They're pelting the coach and Dennis Wise and Viali come out. There's all smoke everywhere, and they got the police right, with the right gear, because that stadium, you go up these steps from below the ground to go up, like the old, the Italian stadiums, they sort of go upwards, and so they go up, and it was very intimidating. But they won 5-0. Zola got man of the match. But the funny thing about all of that was that they've never applauded opposition players, but when Zola went off, they all stood up apparently. The Galatasaray fans and applauded him. And then I rang up my dad's mate, and bearing in mind they're 2 hours ahead, and I literally just slagged him off. About, must have been 2 o'clock. I woke him up or something. So yeah, good times.
This is going to be a team. Imagine if Twitter universe was around when Gianfranco Zola went on that goal drought. He's finished. He's done. So this
Kazaragi, even in Kazaragi took him. I think the Liverpool game, wasn't it, Anfield, where we drew 1-1.
10 games.
He scored. That was it. Yeah, and then he scored, and then Phil Babb tried to, if you remember, he hit the and
nether regions.
And then everyone thought, great, he's now scoring, and then he had that really terrible, career career-ending injury against West Ham.
Upton Park, wasn't it?
Upton Park, yeah. And then after that, we were screwed because actually at that point, I remember Zola and Flo got injured at some point. The same season we'd lost Laudrup, he decided to bugger off. So we didn't have actually anyone really up front. So Vialli was playing. It wasn't really working. We have Forcell, I think, at that point. I'm convinced if we had a striker, we'd have won the league that season, I think. But it is what it is.
It is, it is. It's nice to remember.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it then. We're going to have a lot to say. There's probably going to be some rants on here, calling certain people out. Shout out to Johnny Minerals on Twitter at the moment, who's doing a great job in calling out some of the big accounts. I always say that, and Thomas, that are creating narratives that don't need to be created here. But we'll briefly go through Spurs and Leeds games. Obviously, the Spurs game is probably one of the best performances, I think, under Tuchel, even from last season, to be fair.
I agree.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. I thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I thought anyone could have been man of the match. I thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Cucurella, what a Stamford Bridge debut. It was just absolutely, riveting. I thought Kai Havertz worked his ass off up front to create spaces, and everybody was just fantastic. And then, a week later we go to Leeds away, and it just capitulates. It's hard to it's kind of hard to really kind of put your look, one thing I will say is I see the kid Conor Gallagher is getting a lot of abuse on Twitter as well, and we're seeing the pundits now, and not the pundits, should I say, the media, saying that he's been heavily linked to this club and that club. Tuchel has obviously come out and said that he's not going to sign a midfielder this year, so I don't see us releasing another midfielder. Definitely not, especially when we're looking at the kind of injuries that the likes of Kante is now picking up, and Kovacic is picking up. But one thing before I pass it over to you, Baris, is that it's amazing how when Liverpool lost against United, they've got all these injury problems. Yet two of Chelsea's two best midfielders basically are injured, but it's not spoken about. It's
true,
baffling. So go ahead.
I mean, absolutely spot on. Two different. I mean, it was like you're watching two different teams. The Spurs game was phenomenal. I put a tweet out which people thought might have been emotionally charged on the basis that I was so pissed off that the nature of the way we conceded that second goal, because I've always, even when I was playing at school, and I'm not any decent player, but even rugby, when I was playing that, I was better at that actually. But the point is that you play to the whistle, you played till the final whistle,
regardless.
Regardless. Yeah, we got stitched up with the referee. There was a number of decisions. I think the performance was phenomenal. Everyone worked as a team. You kind of thought, great, how quickly the new signings had kind of settled in. Kalouble looked phenomenal. When he was playing, he was just great. Even when he did that cameo in the first game, I think it was, wasn't it? He came on with 15 minutes or something to go, or 10 minutes. You could see already, give me the ball, give me the ball. You see him running. You see he wants the ball. You see he's trying to do things. You see he's actually doing what Alonso has never done, which is to really drive forward on that left side. Alonso would be just standing there motionless, waiting for someone to give him the ball. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, you're the left wing back. You're the one that should be going forwards to try and create an attack for someone to get it to you so you can cross it in. I'm a very basic thing, but it looked really good. And then Sterling, I thought, looked phenomenal. I thought Sterling, actually, to be fair, I thought him and Cucurella were actually the two positives from the Leeds debacle.
I would agree.
To a point.
I would agree.
And then, it changed. The Leeds game, we started 10, 15 minutes, was same as, the Spurs game. And then I don't know what happened after that. I think the big problem this team's got, and it's embedded in the club, has been for a number of years now. I feel, and I made the point about this when I did a tweet about John Terry. Obi Mikel was interviewed about John Terry, and if he'd 1-0 down at half time, John Terry would be going in and he'd be kicking things. Yeah, he'll be mashing up the dressing room. He'd be so pissed off. He'd say, "What the hell are you effing lot doing?" And he'll be going into, like what Roy Keane, would be doing. And I then saw an interview that Roy Keane had done about United under Solskjaer and Mourinho about it's not about talent. It's not the manager's job to motivate you. You as a player, this is your job. If I go to work and you go to work every day, I go to Turkey and do 147 meetings. That's not my manager's job to motivate me. I'm doing that because I am motivated. If I wasn't motivated, I wouldn't be doing it. Now these players get paid a lot of money. They're playing for a phenomenal club, a club with a very rich history, a club that's done a successful club in the last 20 years, one of the most successful, 2 Champions League trophies as well. And the amount of players that have been, can't motivate yourself to turn up, whether it's Leeds or whether it's Altrincham or whether it's, Leyton Orient, whatever it is, or a Sunday, then you shouldn't be playing football. That's the bottom line. Yeah. So I don't put that on Tuchel. Tuchel's there to change the game. He's there to obviously G up players. But then you need leaders, and we haven't had that since JT. Aspie's a great guy. He's been phenomenal for the club. He's a legend, but he's not at that kind of level. But I did think that he should have played and started against Leeds at that right centre back and having Reece James on the right wing, because arguably he's the best been in that position. So that there was things that I think when you look in hindsight, I think Tuchel will probably admit that he did wrong. When I saw the team sheet, actually, very quickly, I naively, when Gallagher started, and I said, I think he'll have a good game, I naively thought that with our Ruben starting as well, I assumed it was going to be a 3-man midfield with Reece James playing right back. But clearly that didn't happen. And what had happened was that you've got Gallagher, who isn't a defensive midfielder, who had 3 Leeds players on him, which the Leeds manager did a phenomenal job in working that one out, and he had 3 Leeds, so he's isolated. When you isolate Jorginho and he's left on his own, he can't cope. And that's not Jorginho's fault. That's not the type of player he is. He's a player that can operate only really with another midfielder next to him to support him, because Jorginho isn't a defensive midfielder. That's the other thing as well. That's not his role. So when you isolate Gallagher and take him out of the equation, he's on his own. So that's where we lost it, I think.
And I guess that's where we need to look at Gallagher then, and then his place in the squad, because if he's not a box-to-box midfielder, which a lot of people assumed he was, because don't forget, Jorginho is the guy who sits. Forget all this stat stuff. The eye test is really what, whether you know football or not. Jorginho is very good when he knows he's surrounded by the left wing back, the centre back right behind him. So the Rudiger last year, in this case, Koulibaly, and then the winger. So if he knows he's got spaces and pockets to work within, then he can take his time and pass back if he's under pressure. Yeah. With Gallagher, I don't know what he is. Is he a cam? Is he a box to box? Is he, it's kind of like one of those things where you're going, right, well, is he the right fit for Chelsea? And do we want him just because he's had such a great, season with West Ham? Or sorry, with Crystal Palace. Sorry, my apologies. I don't know. It's hard to judge on one game, but he's definitely not a Kante or a Kovacic.
I think he's very similar to Mount. That's the problem. We've got 2 very similar players, 2 very talented players. Arguably, Mount's at a high level because he's played for the club and he's won the Champions League and he's made longer, obviously, in that team. That I think is the problem. I think the problem we've got with Chelsea, and this is going back to Conte's second season that summer when we did the panic buying, we got Bakayoko and we got Drinkwater in, we got Zappa. We just bought too many players of similar ilk, and then at some point we ended up we had like 10 midfielders with 2 or 3 of them in the same position. Like Barkley, we got him, but where's he playing? Because the point is he's the same as 3 or 4 other midfielders. You bring Mount in, back from loan and Lampard starts him, you know,
well, that's it. No, I agree.
You know, he's already got a Barkley on the books who's very similar to Mount. I'm not saying they're at the same level, but it's just the point of the positions. And that's the problem. We're so over. So you bring Gallagher back, like you rightly said, because he's had such a phenomenal season at Palace. He was voted their player of the season. He's, you know, England call up, and the media are hyping them up as they do with all English, as they did with Dele Alli back in the day, etc. But the problem is there's not enough space for these players. And then when you get a new manager in Tuchel, you know, and we've had 5 managers in the space of the same amount of years, it is incredibly difficult to stick to the same system. They're all going to play different systems, all different, pick different players, prefer different players, and that's the problem. So Gallagher, I think personally, I don't think we should sell him. I think he goes back on loan. I think he deserves that. I think he needs game time. He's going to be wasted completely, I think, by Tuchel if he stays. I don't think he'll get enough games. He'll get cup games. It will be like the Hudson-Odoi. He'll get the cup games. He'll get the games here and there. If there's injuries, he'll come in at that point. But he's not going to take Mount's place.
No, and not even Mount. I mean, for me, Loftus-Cheek is a level ahead of him at the moment. I mean, in terms, because Loftus-Cheek can fit so many different positions.
Well, that's the thing. Again, Loftus-Cheek's another one that's in a similar position, a number 10, a box-to-box, you know, and then you've got Kovacic, and then you've got Kante, who's box-to-box as well.
Kovacic is our best player on his day in that midfield, in my opinion. You know, Kante, in fairness, this is kind of what has upset me a little bit, because Kante looked like we were seeing the old Kante for the first games and in pre-season, but those legs just caught up.
I mean, Petit made the point in an article in the summer, early part of this summer, that he said that Kante's like 5 players, but the thing is, he's got to be told that you just can't keep trying to bail every other player in your team out, which is what he does. He goes and he's running, and phenomenal athlete. But
phenomenal.
I'm wondering, and I was thinking about this. He's not a DM. He's not an actual DM. He's not a Makelele.
No.
He's not a sitting DM. Okay. So, but he does tackles. He's box to box.
Does he remind you a little bit, Baris? Actually, I was thinking about this. He reminds me a lot of Edgar Davids back in the day in his prime.
Yeah.
Edgar Davids used to cover every blade of grass.
Even Essien as well.
Essien also. Point. Yeah. I think he's more like those guys than Makelele.
Yeah. I'm wondering if is it worth Tuchel looking at Kante and just saying maybe try and not re-coach him because he doesn't need that, but to maybe just have him as purely a sitting DM for the period. So he's not going to be, running around. I know we're going to miss that box spot, but then you've got the Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You've got obviously Kovacic. Yeah. And Kovacic is phenomenal. I mean, I remember the under Lampard, actually, not under Tuchel, it was under Lampard. He came on against Leicester in the FA Cup. If I remember it, we played Leicester in the FA Cup, and it was 0-0. And I think it was at Stamford Bridge, I think. And he came on, Kovacic second half, and he was driving that ball. He was going with the ball. He was going box to box, and he made the difference, and we won the game. That was actually the FA Cup run we got to the final. I'm sure we played Leicester in that. I think
it was
Leicester. We were wearing the white. We're wearing the white kit. We're wearing the white kit.
I remember that, and I remember a lot of people saying that. And over time, Kovacic is actually vice captain material, without a shadow of a doubt. More so than Jorginho, in my opinion. The problem that we have with managers at the moment, and Tuchel is also guilty of this, and this is the only Tuchel criticism I'll give. You mentioned Azpilicueta as well. He's not a captain. I know he might be a leader in the background, and because he's there so long and he cares. You've got a natural leader in Thiago Silva, and Reece James. You see them shouting at each other. It's like that's what you need. Azpilicueta against Everton last year. You can't make a mistake like that and then go and shout at them, because they're going to go, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that's nitpicking, but it's the modern footballer. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's like I look at people like Kovacic, and Thiago Silva, and well, especially Reece James.
Yeah.
Say Reece James is just tailor-made. He's captain material. That's it.
Yeah.
You need someone young wanting to prove a point that will actually go. I mean, when you got, funny, video that we've all seen during the week where he's standing behind the ref and just the ref bounces it. It's like we were going to talk about referees in Chelsea, which we'll get onto a little bit later on. But someone that's a little bit of shithousery, that's not afraid to fucking step up.
Yeah,
we need it.
Old-fashioned centre back. I mean, this is the problem. We've become kind of too nice to a point. We're not as what we used to be as tough. I mean, when you look at, back then, I mean, okay, they were world class at that point, when we acquired them, but Drogba wasn't. But he somehow in that team, he became world class, and he changed to the point where he wouldn't take any shit. And Costa was already had that when we bought him. Then you look at, obviously JT had it embedded in, Lamps to a point, SCN did, Makaleli, all these characters, Ivanovic, Ivanovic is somebody that you could have in that team against Leeds, and he'd be literally beating the shit out of his teammates to say, what the hell are you doing, as JT would. That's the problem. There's no one vocal on that pitch to say, what the hell's going on here? What are you lot playing at? Let's sort this out. When we're 2-0 down at half time, I know Tuchel's got to motivate, do the team talk, but there's got to be leaders in that dressing room that have got to pull everyone up and say, what the effing hell are you lot doing? We're 2-0. Do you know who this is? This is our oldest fight. This is Leeds, for fuck's. They were fighting relegation last
season. You can curse on this show, don't worry.
Chelsea.
You can use bad language.
Oh yeah,
hell.
I mean, fucking hell, I mean, for fuck's sake, this is Leeds. And that's the only thing that disappointed me was how poor James and Mount were. And I'm not just singling them out. Everyone was poor, but the reason I'm singling them out is because they're from the academy. They know the history of Chelsea a lot more than maybe Cucurella's going to know, or maybe a Mendy's going to know. Is Mendy really going to know? Mark Worrell actually made a very good point. He said, get them all in the room. To Mark as well, who's great on Twitter. He's a great guy, and he made a very good point. In fact, my dad replicated. Obviously he's not on Twitter, but he said exactly the same thing. Get them to watch the 1970 DVD of you watch that. You watch Chopper Harris, and you watch Bremner. You watch these other players who, you can't get away with a lot of stuff now, but it was the passion, it was the drive. They're playing to win. They don't give a shit. You don't have to be talented. You don't have to be a world-class player, but there's no excuse. You can still run. You can still, Leeds were like running, was it 6 kilometers more than us by half time or something? And then it increased even more in the second half. And that's not them chasing the ball. That's them actually driving forward with the ball. And that's the thing. We were just so we didn't want to be there. It was like we didn't give a shit, and that's what pisses me off.
Let's actually get on to, no, you're 100% right, because it segues perfectly. Let's get on to the Koi and Mount abuse that comes in the family. Because that was something I wanted to pin out. To an extent, you made a really good point. I get why some people use Mount, not necessarily as a scapegoat, but I get where the critique comes from and where the criticism comes from, because he'll have a great game against Norwich and then he'll go missing, but he's not the Lampard that people think he is, in my opinion, because he doesn't take the game by the scruff of the neck. And I do believe that Mount is a little bit of we have a term in Ireland where we say Mayfainer, which just means selfish. He's a very selfish player. And Koi now seems to be the new guy because he hasn't scored 5 goals in 3 games. And this is another situation where I kind of go, you probably saw my tweet this morning.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That kind.
The guy is 22 years of age. Like, you literally have a player who, without a shadow of a doubt, has all the potential in the world. But I don't think he's a striker. I think he's a Zidane type player. He's one of those luxury players where you play him behind the striker who can float around, very much like Zola as well, the free roamer, who can make things happen. I mean, guys, it's that goal last year against Newcastle, where he took it on the left peg and then hit it, took it down and then hit it. That is natural talent. You won't see Mason Mount or any of those players doing that. That is God-given talent. And for us to go, sell him. If he doesn't do it this year, sell him. Okay, yeah, sell him. And then he goes to Real Madrid and then he shows you the world. Like, we've another case of Kevin De Bruyne then. It's the level of fucking idiot, the level of idiots within this fan base on Twitter that call themselves Chelsea fans that literally don't pass the eye test. They don't, because they look at stats. And then when they get given a stat that the most runs made so far in a forward line this season is by Kai Havertz. Oh, yeah, but, they're just runs because they're runs for the sake of runs. Oh, so he doesn't know football now. Okay, perfect. You get some fat guy sitting at home in his basement going, well, I'll tell you all about that Kai Havertz. Lad, he's fucking shite. And yet I'm listening to other players, Man United fans, saying, well, if Chelsea don't want him, we will take him in a heartbeat. Absolute idiocy. Save me from my rant, Baris, because...
No, you're right. I've got a different theory to why Mount gets... I mean, we'll come to Havertz, but...
And by the way, I hate the Mount hate as well.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I've got a theory on this, and it goes back a few years, because when Sarri arrived, he brought Jorginho, and it was kind of Sarri's ball. At that point, the more hardcore or the old school, the older generations in particular, just didn't rate the Sarri system, the football. In fact, actually, I mean, I was at Stamford Bridge. In fact, I was at Stamford Bridge. I got given a ticket to watch the FA Cup, where we lost with the holders, because Conte obviously won it for us the year before, when we lost to United, and he brought on Zappacosta with, I think, 5 minutes ago, and people shouting, "Don't know what you're doing." And it was actually, it was poor at that point, because that came off the back of, I think, when we lost 6-0 to 4-0 to Bournemouth, and I think we'd already lost 6-0. So I just said, I think he's not the right guy. He's got to go. Now I got proved wrong, which never was. But I felt we started after the Tottenham game at Stamford Bridge, where Luiz was man of the match. We were phenomenal. We won that game 1-0. It was probably Sarri's best performance. Actually, I thought it was, because it was so solid and we were so good, and that was a very strong Tottenham team as well. And we kind of then carried on, and we had a loss at, I think, Everton or whatever, and then Europa League final, we won that. But I thought, give him another season if he stays. Maybe you could see a difference, but there was an issue that he was not the right fit, and I think that felt, and no one really knew what Jorginho's role was, what he was doing. Why have we spent money on a guy that nobody knows, and only because people have only seen him, in Napoli for two seasons under Sarri. I mean, the funny thing about all of this is that I'm fully respect. I can tell you now, I didn't really know a lot about Sarri. I didn't know a lot about Jorginho. I didn't really watch Serie A football at that point because I wasn't subscribed to it. I am now, but I wasn't back then. I used to be, but I never. So I didn't see I only saw them when they played City in the Champions League, and Pep Guardiola coming out and saying that Sarri's, a really good coach, etc., and that City were interested in Jorginho. And so that's the only time I knew. But I didn't sit there analysing, the tactics and everything. And I can guarantee you that all these big accounts haven't sat there and analysed Sarri for 2 years to then come out and say he's the right. Wrong in saying he's a good appointment, but don't go on Twitter and make out that you've studied the guy for 2-3 years and his career to know exactly what he's going to give to Chelsea. They've watched a few YouTube compilations. They've probably read a few articles on the internet, and and they're using that as their source of knowledge to make out that they're football, experts themselves. Yeah. And so I think it went from that, and then there was this big divide within the fan base. Rory Then you get Lampard coming in, and then obviously we have the situation with Lampard bringing a lot of the youth, a lot of the kids. Didn't suit the agenda, maybe because we couldn't buy luxury, players with foreign surnames that may well be very talented, but we just couldn't, because we we were banned. So we were using all these, you know, so Mount being in particular. And then because there were games, to be fair, that Mount was not very good at in the first season, he was inconsistent in his season at Chelsea, but Mount kept being picked ahead of others, which I think was the problem. This thing now where Mount is still getting picked, I mean, Mount's very good, but there are games when he's not playing well. And there may be 2 or 3 games where he doesn't play well in a row. Do I think Mount's done well this season so far in the games that he's played? I don't think he has. Should he be dropped for, say, give Pulisic a go? Yes, because I think you need to give Pulisic a chance as well. I don't think you should just keep playing Mount because it's Mason Mount in the hope that he's going to do something. Lampard, difference with him is he was consistent every game. His goal tally, his assists, show that. Mount's not consistent enough at the moment. And I'm not saying that's his fault, but he's got to improve on that as other players have as well.
I'll be honest with you.
It doesn't deserve the abuse.
I think if you're asking me who's a better footballer, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Kai Havertz is a better footballer than Mason Mount.
Yeah.
That's just my honest opinion.
Well, better talent, definitely.
Oh, without a doubt.
In terms of the work ethic, I think that again is dependent on what Tuchel wants.
But again, you're looking at Kai at the moment, right? Again, he's got the most forward runs, which means he's actually making the effort. I mean, we've seen it against Tottenham.
Yeah.
And we've seen it against Everton. We saw it against Leeds as well. He's making runs. Nobody's finding him. Now
it's like
he's
Burnley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say. No. Yeah. Go on. Sorry. No. Go on. You go. No. Go on.
Go.
No. You go. No.
You're the guest.
No. You're wearing the better shirt than I am. So you go.
No, I was just going to say we actually lost a bit of signal there for anyone that was wondering now what's happened, but that's why we get muddled. No, the point I was going to make is that Kai is making these runs. You can say, they're not the strikers' runs. Look, he's not R9. He's not Ronaldo. He's not Brazilian Ronaldo. He never was a striker.
Yeah.
He was a central attacking midfielder. He was a number 10. He was a cam. He was a Michael Ballack style player. He was a Lampard style player. Hence why Lampard wanted him. This was his role, and now he's having to fill a role because we had some idiot who supposedly loved the club and then came back and then fucking sold the club out and went back home to his new, found club. So Kai is now, unfortunately, the butt of all these idiots on Twitter who are just, without a shadow of a doubt, are going to have egg on their face at some point.
He's not a number 9.
No,
and the only player that we've had. I mean, Hazard was tried as a number 9, didn't work. Lamps tried it. I mean, he should have looked at Sarri actually, because Sarri tried it as well, didn't work.
Pedro. They tried Pedro at number 9 as well.
Well, Pedro, didn't work, but that's because Pedro was a lot older. I felt that if you watch Pedro at Barcelona when Guardiola played him as a number 9, sorry, as a false 9, not number 9, as a false 9.
Yeah.
He was very good. But there's an age gap. That was like 8 years or 7 years or whatever the gap was. That's a big difference. It's like Higuain. We get Higuain, arguably a phenomenal striker in his day, but we get him at a point where he just couldn't score in a brothel. That was the problem. Havertz isn't a false 9, and clearly we need a striker. We need someone that is going to fit the system that Tuchel wants to play. I'm convinced that Lukaku was not his decision. I felt that his decision, he wanted someone like a Kane, from what I read, or a Haaland. Haaland was unavailable, unachievable, because it would have cost us. I mean, it would have bankrupted the club probably. Because
we also had Marina there. And this is the new thing now.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is the new thing with the fan base, with the Tuchel out crowd. The hashtag Tuchel out movement. These absolute morons who put the word plastic into the word Chelsea Football Club, to be fair.
There's no one comes up with an alternative. It's all right to say, look, I don't think he's the right guy for the job. Who's the alternative?
Who is?
They don't give one. right? I mean, first of all, Bowley. I mean, say Bowley was going to pick. He's not going to pick somebody who hasn't proven himself, i.e., winning trophies. So they're not going to go. I know people have mentioned Graham Potter. Now he's doing a phenomenal job at Brighton, but it's the same as Allardyce. Allardyce does a phenomenal job, or did do a phenomenal job with the teams, near the bottom, getting them, saving them from relegation. But why is it that he's never been given an appointment at a top 4, 5, 6 club? That's the question to ask. Potter, if he's that good, why have there been no other suitors, trying to grab him after what he did last season with Brighton and what he's currently doing with
Why
Brighton?
did Man United grab Ten Hag instead of going, right, let's do a rebuild and grab Graham Potter?
Well, exactly, because Man United arguably does have one of the best academies. They still do. It's maybe not at the same level as it used to be, but it's still producing very good youngsters. So yeah, Graham Potter would fit in, as he would probably at Chelsea if the strategy is let's work with the youth. I mean, the thing is that you got to look at Chelsea's history since Abramovich took over. Name me one manager, okay, apart from Lampard, and I debate this. Lampard did it because he had no choice. I guarantee you, first of all, if we didn't have a transfer ban, Lampard wouldn't be hired. That's the first thing. They wouldn't have gone on the Spanish coach. I think they were looking at. They had Blanc on the shortlist, but I think it was the one who's the Spanish ex-Barcelona, who's now the Spanish.
Luis Enrique
was the fate. That's it. Yeah, thank you. So Lampard wouldn't have even been looked at. He was looked at because for two reasons. Transfer ban, they needed to maybe get the fans back on side to a point, which I thought was harsh because I actually, whether you like it or not, and this is to the face of Chelsea's history, he delivered top 4. So that objective was done. In fact, we finished 3rd. He delivered us a European trophy as well. So we can't really complain. We were in the League Cup final and we were very unlucky to lose that. We were the better team, I thought, in that League Cup final. So
offside.
Yeah.
We saw Man United getting away with it there against Liverpool.
So on that basis, going back to, when we look at Havertz and we look at, all these people, the patience and Tuchel out, we've got a squad that 4 managers have played. They've played under 4 managers. We've got Tuchel that's come in. Clearly wasn't doing what he was trying to do. It wasn't working. We were outside. There's a risk we're not going to get top 4 with all the money spent. We had probably FFP worries as well. It wasn't working out. To be fair, we were playing really shit. Leicester away was a joke of a result. We even struggled in some of the FA Cup. I think one of the FA Cup games. And there were games that we were really struggling at. He couldn't get the best out of Havertz and Werner, and it just wasn't working. I mean, there was that game against Leicester where, when you look at the setup, it just made no sense. And I just felt that he was on his way out. He's gone. Tuchel comes in. Clearly we're leaking goals left, right, and centre. He does the 3 or the 5 at the back to tighten all of that up, which is great. And we're tight at the back. And then we go on this unbeaten run. We're playing average, but we're actually getting the results. And somehow we're delivering in Europe. And then we do what I didn't forecast it, that we beat Man City in the final. And then just for this,
Bill, isn't it? It's kind of 2012 all over.
You get Rory Jennings, who slags off Tuchel because he's a Lampard fan.
Listen, can I just say, Rory Jennings? I will say it absolutely, just like Johnny Minerals called you out as well the other day. Absolute moron who now
he is. He's a racist. He was being racist towards an Indian. Without, it's a fact. It's all logged. I mean, he can deny it. He was being supporter because he was kicking off about foreign fans that come, tourists that come to the stadium, and that if you don't come to matches, what do you know? You're based over there, and why are you coming over here, and why do we need foreign fans, and all this rubbish. And he was targeting her on the Chelsea the channel that he got sacked. He actually got sacked.
Yeah. No, he's
him and this other guy.
He's an absolute weasel.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that probably would consider me a foreign fan because I'm, across the pond.
He's a chicken shit. He's a chicken shit because when he called that Indian guy out, he did it on the video and he did it in front of whatever the 23,000 whatever followers they had on their YouTube channel, and it was there in black and white on the YouTube. He's called him out. He dug the guy out, the poor guy. It's not his fault. How can he afford to fly and come to? I mean, if he had the money, of course he would. And then he's just digging at anyone that's foreign. That was what was going on.
100%. I mean, he's an absolute weasel, and it's the same. It's the same with anyone that calls out anyone for that.
Yeah, and
Chelsea fans, you know what I mean.
I called him out. Said, look,
Jersey. I don't get to go and see Orlando Magic every week, but guess what? When basketball season's on, I like to watch the Orlando Magic.
Well, and look, I called the guy out and I said, look, let's meet up and talk about it because I think what you're doing is wrong and it's out of order. And then Rose, well, I forgot. So he blocked me straight away.
Yeah, but that's a sign of a weasel, right?
Yeah, of course it is. And then Sophie, the one who, the one who was running it, she basically did a video. It's still on there, I think, if you search for it on YouTube.
Yeah,
where she apologised for the behaviour, and then she explained why they have been booted out. It was him and another guy. Forgot his name.
I think Sophie had a bit of class about it, though. At least, you know.
Yeah, and then the funniest thing was there's a video if you search for it where he's been interviewed for the channel where he's talking about signing for us and absolutely great and whatever, and roll 4 months later, and he's absolutely slagging the guy off. He then, before that, was saying people shouting out Sarri out or booing, Sarri, whatever. So Sarri, you don't know what you're doing. He said that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that in stadiums. But then he's quite happy to be woefully overboard and critical about Sarri, saying he's got to go. He's useless. He's get out and all this stuff. And he was igniting this hate towards Sarri. It just didn't work. It was the same as AVB to a point. People. The thing is, the personality for a manager of Chelsea, has to have a personality and connect with the fans. Now, Sarri isn't that kind of person. And that's not his fault. That's just the way he is. And he connects in a certain way. It was the same at Juve. The problem he had at Juve, he delivered the title, but they did not see him as someone who could connect with the club and the fans, even though he delivered the league title. Fair enough. It had nothing to do with him not winning the Champions League. So that's the problem. You look at Vialli, he had a connection who did with the fans as well. I mean, remember when we knew he was sacked and he had that final game and he came out and everyone's applauding and he was in tears. That's because he had that. And then Mourinho, and I've said, probably the only one out of all the managers that I know had the biggest, affiliation with the fans in that period that he was there. Ancelotti to a point. Scolari didn't at all, even though he's a quality manager. Avram Grant certainly didn't. So you can go through the names and you can see the ones Conte did. What he was doing in that first season was phenomenal. Every time he scored, that passion. And it disappeared in the second season. Lampard,
even Conte, saying in his report, saying, I still love the Chelsea fans. We achieved a lot together after that whole, scuffle with
and Tuchel's got it. Yeah, Tuchel's got it because Tuchel, right? Gets thrown under a bus. We get sanctioned. We're about to go liquidated. There is a very good chance the club's going to shut down and get liquidated, completely disappear. There was that risk. About it now, but there was that risk. And you go on Twitter, everyone's panicking. Fans that were slagging off Tuchel now were the same fans that were panicking that we weren't going to have a club. And who was the only guy that stood up and was the PR person for the club who could have walked out and no one would have said anything? He could have left. It was a shit show. No one knows what's going on. He's got to manage the players. There's no coach. There's no flights. Nothing. There's no money. And the government have to ask Abramovich for an extra 300 million or 30 million, sorry, whatever it
30
was.
Million,
to keep things going. And Tuchel, every press conference, he's been asked about what's going on. Where was Bruce Buck? Why wasn't he? He's the chairman. Why isn't he not coming out and being the PR guy? Tuchel was getting hounded by this. Now, the stress and everything, he could have left, but and I remember everyone was saying we can't let him go. Man United were trying to look at him, as a possible successor to Solskjaer or Rangnick after Rangnick. And everyone's got a short memory, and we're only 3 games in, and people want to shut out just because we're not playing 3 in midfield, and we've got a squad that I said last season, a squad, not 11 players, a squad that is not fucking good enough. Yeah. It hasn't been good enough for fucking years. It's a fact. We are still carrying the dross that was bought in Conte's last season. We've got people still like, we can't get rid of Alonso. Is it Tuchel's fault that we lost Rudiger and Christensen on a free? Is it Tuchel's fault at the moment that we've got Jorginho and Kante in their last 12 months? Is it Tuchel's fault that we still haven't signed Mason Mount or Reece James to long term? Is it Tuchel's fault that Kovacic has got less? Is it Tuchel's fault that we haven't renewed the contracts that we should have done for Rudiger and Christensen? Rudiger has, said that the club could have made an effort. It's not Tuchel making the effort. It's not his, and that's why, this transfer window isn't on Tuchel. He's been backed, but, we're so far behind that we're sticking around hoping that we're going to get Gordon right. Well, if he doesn't come, which is a very good chance as well, okay, like the De Jong debacle, what are we doing then? I mean, why are we only going for one player at a time? Tuchel's given him a list, and Bowley's going around, hopefully doing swap deals or whatever. He's
by the way,
he's going to do a swap deal.
Shout out
or whatever.
Todd Bowley is doing a great job.
He is.
Job.
Look,
a man that's come in with absolutely no time to prepare. No time.
Yeah.
They clearly want Edwards as the DOF, as the director of football. He's told them he's very impressed by the Chelsea project. He wants a year off. That's why, to me, they haven't got a director of football in yet.
Yeah,
they're willing to give him that.
And he's he's great. I actually, his bid was the one that I was supportive of.
Yes, me too.
I like the way he talks. He's successful. He understands what to do. He understands things. And the first thing he did is he met with Tuchel. He met with Emma Hayes, and hindsight's one of the things. I think the mistake he made was to get rid of the whole of the board in one swoop. That he felt that he could do that. The only reason I say that is because I think, yes, we got Sterling in. Sterling was a banker anyway, to be honest. I think Sterling, if you look at the interview that he did, he was always thinking of Chelsea and London, and that he wanted to leave Man City because he was, upset about the game time and the amount of years that he's given there. But the only issue I've got with Bowley, and I think he will learn from this because it's his first time really knowing this, is that I think the mistake we made was hanging on a bid for a player for too long, and then we're suddenly going to Fofana now when we were trying to get De Ligt, as an example, trying to do swap deals, which didn't cut it with Juventus because they need the cash. So that was the point there. We've then tried Kimpembe. That obviously was trying other players as well. We wasted with Rafinha, who was always going Barcelona. Why didn't we know this while faffing around for nearly 3-4 weeks? Hopefully he's going to join us. Is it because we thought Barcelona couldn't actually pay the money? So there are things that where I think we spent too long on a player, and it's like now we're spending so long on Gordon for 60 mil. And say
when you think about what Todd Bowley's been doing, it's only a matter of time before I've already seen some inklings of some fucking idiots going, "Oh, Bowley out." Well, Bowley ain't getting out, son. I mean, he owns the club, so shut the fuck up and like it. The only thing I'll say to Chelsea fans, right, is Tuchel ain't going anywhere. They've backed him. They're talking about a new contract. I think not just the Champions League and what he did when he first came that 6-month period, whatever it was, 5 months of the season left, did in that 3-4 months of uncertainty, or 3 months that we had last season, where he could have, as I said, he could have walked. Now, if he walked, who was going to take over? Okay. And, who's going to get us into that top 4?
Okay, that's the problem. Who are we going to bring in? Who's going to walk in and take that over? He could have walked. Okay, no one would have blamed him. But he stuck around. He wanted to stay. He felt deep down that things will get better. That someone will buy. That the club will be okay. That he sees the potential in Chelsea becoming a competitor to the Cities and Liverpools. So that aside as well, the fans have got to realise he's not going anywhere, and they've got to stick by him. It's only been 3 games. Let's judge him after his first proper transfer window that he's had. And the rebuild isn't going to be 1 transfer window. It's going to be 2 summers minimum.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you.
Declan Rice signings next year, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, is the marquee signing next year. I guarantee it. There's no way you're going to get the signings that we've had so far, a few of the others, and on top of that, we're not going to get Declan Rice on top and other things as well. It's going to happen over 2 windows. So I'm confident that's the marquee signing they're going for next season. But which is why Tuchel said we don't need a midfielder, and it's not because I don't think he doesn't think we need one. I genuinely think he's looking at Rice as the one to go for next season, which I think is more realistic. Because by that point,
why?
I think
because that's when he goes to the 4 at the back and he plays 3 in the midfield. Declan Rice sitting, and then you've got Kovacic and Jorginho, or Kovacic and one of them.
And then Gallagher comes back, and you can theoretically have your DM. Because I'm also thinking very quickly. I personally, and it's not me saying this is what should happen. I actually like Jorginho a lot. I think he's been phenomenal. He's been brilliant. I think he gets sort of unfair criticism still. That's my opinion.
I'm a Jorginho fan.
I didn't rate Jorginho first time he was there, and he proved me wrong. And I'm very happy with that because it benefits the team, it benefits the success of the club, and he, did very well. For Italy. I mean, Mancini picks him. Vialli likes him. There's a reason he's picked. So from that perspective, there is a chance that Jorginho goes on free next season. There is that chance because he might be in the winter. He may get caught by Juventus or one of the other clubs. Okay. I believe personally, can say I think what they may do is because of what he's done for the club, that they may allow him if he wants to go. We'll let him go for free. I think.
Baris.
Thank you very much. You've been brilliant. Yeah. So that's 2 gone. Then you get your DM, and then you play your Mount and your Gallagher there as well. So Gallagher and Mount can play if you do a 3 with that, definitely.
100%.
That's what I'm thinking. And then you've got Gordon on the left or right with his pacey stuff with Sterling.
What do you think about? Let's talk about this. So Aubameyang, I think we spoke off air. I think Aubameyang is a perfect short-term fix.
He is.
It's unfortunate actually that Broja was injured this week because it would have been a perfect time for him to, to come on. And I do think Tuchel has a bit of. I think Tuchel sees something in him.
Yeah.
I do, and I think if Broja can kind of keep his agents out of his ear and kind of just listen and get the head down and fucking, actually want.
I just think he didn't get on with Arteta, and that's nothing against Arteta.
I'm saying Broja. Sorry, I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. Well, with him, I personally, if he's fit, I think he starts.
That's what I'm saying. I think he would have started against Leeds 100%.
Yeah, would have done. Yeah, and I think Havertz. Actually, to be honest, what I would do, I would actually, my opinion, I would actually play Broja. I'd actually play Sterling. If he's going to go same formation, I would actually drop Mount
on the right.
Yeah, I would actually drop. Yeah, I would drop. Yeah, or I would actually drop Mount into the bench.
Me too.
And I'd actually give Pulisic. I give Pulisic a run. I actually rate Pulisic.
Has to be
the only issue.
Has to be.
Yeah, I rate Pulisic myself. I think he's got potential. The problem is he's had injuries. The other thing I have an issue with is his dad. I think he doesn't help the situation, and I don't think that helps. And it is actually quite stupid because regardless of what Tuchel said before, where he doesn't give a shit what people think of him. Sure, deep down he's not happy about it because it's pretty similar to Lukaku telling a third party what he thinks of Tuchel. which he did. He said that I don't agree with, I can't work his tactics and I don't fit his system and I'm struggling and I'm not happy. Well, Mount's dad's doing pretty much that as well, saying that my son's not happy. You've got to play him. He's done all this work. And why are you not picking him? And then slagging off, liking a tweet because it slags Mount off. It's stupid.
Why can't they all just follow the James family? Like, you look at the James family.
I just think his dad. I just think his dad's got to stay out of it. It's not his dad's job, and it doesn't help. I think Pulisic's old enough. He's got balls, and if he really wants it, he's got to shut the fuck up and do whatever else you want to tweet on Twitter. But don't fucking get involved in this shit I've got with the manager. Career. And let me get on with it and let me work my tits off to try and get on that pitch. But
because he's not shown enough now under Tuchel. Tuchel can turn around and say, "Well, dude, you missed a sitter in the Champions League final. Which he did, as you know, to seal the deal. And it's all well and good. People going, oh, my son. Sorry, bro. Like,
but he should start. I think he deserves a run. I rate him on his day when he's fit.
We gave him the number 10. We gave him the number 10.
Well, he played number. See, I had this.
No, I mean, we gave him the number 10 jersey. Like, it's
but ironically, I said this 2 years ago, a couple of seasons ago. Pulisic played for the US at number 10 in the hole. He played as a attacking midfielder in the middle,
and he's very.
And he had. I mean, it was very good. And I'm surprised we've not even looked at that option at all. He's played him as like a false nine. It doesn't work that way. He's got to be behind somebody else. We've got to have Aubameyang or whoever it is, Brozier up front, because we need a Sterling to work with that. Okay. Pulisic, same. When he was at Borussia Dortmund, the problem is they've been asked to do things that are not, what they're used to. But I think we play Pulisic. We start Pulisic. Personally speaking, I think he starts. I think he gets some negative press. Yeah, okay, he's not delivered. He's not. But you know what? There are players in that team from Cobham that haven't delivered. Let's be up front. Chalobah, right? Is okay. Yeah, he's not great, but he made some bloody errors last season where he gave away, I think, 3 penalties in a row in 3 games, and then he gave away a 4th penalty. He loses concentration. Yeah, he's learning, but again, he's slipping up a bit. So why isn't he getting the same?
But he's 20. He's 22.
Pulisic.
Same age as fucking
exactly.
So why is Kai Havertz? Why is Kai Havertz
exactly?
See, like. My problem, the only problem I think I have with Tuchel at the moment is that it looks like he tells his players not to have to shoot from range.
Yeah.
And this has been a problem for a while.
Yeah.
Like, this is this kind of tiki-taka bullshit. You know what I mean? You look under Mourinho.
Yeah.
Most of our goals came from absolute worldies.
Yeah.
Or putting pressure on the ball. And when you take a shot, if it's on target, guess what? The defense scrambles back and you're pushing them back further. It's like ice hockey. You know what I mean? The more shots you take, the defense are scrambling. One thing I don't see in our team is that we take shots anymore. Like, if Mason Mount is the new Lampard, well, where are these 20-yard shots? Like, you know what I mean? Kai Havertz. I'd love to see someone. I see.
It's like trying to walk the ball into the net. And
exactly. Like, I see Ziyech, who I don't rate at all, and I'm sorry, I'm not a Ziyech fan. I've never been a Ziyech fan. I think he's a cocky little fucker, to be honest with you. The way he walks around.
Scored a great goal though.
He scored some good goals. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I don't like his attitude. He's another proponent. He's a Lukaku. He's a friend of Lukaku, so it kind of makes sense. He kind of just walks around and he just kind of he never apologizes to a teammate if he doesn't pass to him, because he just takes a pot shot. Like, everyone gave out to Havertz for getting in the way of that shot against Leeds. But I mean, it was a shot out of nowhere where Havertz can't even move his body. It's like, oh, so you want him to spontaneously combust now just so that shot goes on target.
The thing is, you look at
it's baffling, man. It's baffling.
And the only thing I'll say is you look at the Man U Liverpool game. Man U weren't, if you player for player, they're not the better team, but they had something in them.
Drive.
Last season when they sacked Sean Dyche, Burnley, who have a woeful team, to be completely honest with you. They're not a great team, but what they had where they were on that run, there was that run and there was a chance that they would overtake Everton and all this, like in terms of Everton getting relegated. In that period, they had that run of, I think, was it 3 or 4 games that they won in a row or something? 3 games, I think, which was unheard of because they hadn't won a game in 20 or whatever. It was the spirit. It was the fact they're driving, the passion, the fact that they're not technically great, but they were just working hard. And all I'm asking for this Chelsea team is to work hard. Run around, close
the gap,
close the gap, or go after the ball, try and close him down. If he's trying to, do the basics. It's like with Mendy, right? That stupid thing he did against Leeds, which is ridiculous. That's not that's just common sense. That's
he's done that too many times for my
life. And that's got nothing to do with being a crap. He's not a crap goalkeeper. So it's not about him being crap.
He's a shot stopper, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's not a crap guy. He's a very good shot stopper. The issue is that he just doesn't think. People don't think. And it's like we have that corner against Tottenham with literally seconds left, and it just goes past everybody, and Kane somehow gets a header on, and it doesn't touch anyone, and it's a goal. And it's just like people aren't thinking. They're not like, concentrating. And that was the thing I was trying to put across. Is that we've conceded stupid goals. When we needless goals. We've done this quite regularly. It's like there was a stat. We've won 4 in the last 12 games. Stamford Bridge, 50% of the game unbeaten. The problem is we dominate most of those games. The issue is that we're just stupid in what we're doing with the ball when we're up there. Give you, against Leeds, right? If I recall, Ruben Loftus-Cheek was literally so much space on that right, and I can't remember if it was Mount or Gallagher, one of the two, and they're looking around, and they just pass it backwards. And I'm thinking, for fuck's sake,
it's constant backwards passing.
Why are you going backwards when he's in fucking space and he can cross it in, or he can at least got the ball in there third. So those are things. There's no intelligence with these footballers to a point at times, and that baffles me a lot. There's no drive. There's no let's close. There's no running back to close things down, as Mourinho would want with all his players that they did in those first 3 years under him at Chelsea.
It's funny, if Mourinho was managing Chelsea right now, Ruben Loftus-Cheek would be one of the first names on the team sheet from those last 2 games, because he's actually trying to make things happen. He's stepping up, trying to make things happen. I think if Ruben gets dropped for somebody, I mean, I don't understand the Anthony Gordon thing myself. I really don't, because
we'll have to see what happens.
I don't, but I cannot also say in Tuchel I trust, and then be hypocritical. So that's what I put a tweet out the other day. I said, I think it was last week. I said, if he wants him, then we back the manager, because we said back the manager. If he sees something in the way Anthony Gordon plays, then perfect. But if he's buying him to be right wing back, that makes 0 sense, because if you're bringing Fofana in, then is he not the guy that you're bringing in to replace, the gap?
I questioned Gordon purely because I did on the 60 mil. I thought was too much for someone who's not proven.
Madness.
But in fact, I thought Adama Traore will be a far cheaper option, who'd be more effective, who's proven over a number of seasons. Do so on that right side that we need covered, if we want to do that. Or you can go for the guy at AC Milan and
Rafael Leao. Why not put the extra? I don't understand. Why not go? Okay, now this is, and I guess this is where people are getting a little bit question marks with Tuchel. They're going, right, well, if it's only you and Bowley working together, because Todd Bowley doesn't know these players.
Yeah.
So Todd Bowley is getting fed this information from Tuchel. That's the way it's working.
Yeah.
So if Tuchel wants Leao, the Portuguese guy from AC Milan, and AC Milan want 110 million or 120 million.
A lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but why not just put that extra 50 or 40 million into a player that you can see is proven and scores goals? Whereas I don't see anything that Anthony Gordon offers other than running.
Yeah, I agree. It's
he's 21 or 22 as well. Like that's what's strange.
Yeah.
You're not buying
I don't know.
Rooney.
I mean, yeah, I know. And, like you've made the point, and I agree with you that I mean, everyone questions the transfers. There's a few of us that don't rate the transfers. There's people that will rate when he first arrived. I'll give you the example, Jorginho, when he first arrived.
Yeah.
There's people that did rate him, there's a lot of people that didn't rate him. But actually, I was one that didn't rate him when he first came.
I was one that did, funny enough.
Yeah. See, towards the end of the season, in the last, I don't know, half a dozen games, including the Europa League final, I actually changed my mind. So the point with the Gordon one is that we may not rate it, but actually through the season, he might actually be delivering a lot. I mean, that's the thing. It's very possible that he could do. Do you know what it is? I think the fans genuinely, we all want it all this, because we've done so many bad signings.
We don't want another.
When they see, we don't want another, and it's the anxiety that we're spending. It's not our money. We're saying we're spending. It's not our money, but the anxiety that we're going out and buying someone who we may feel hasn't proven themselves. May be a disaster. Barkley, another example. Yeah, he wasn't 60 mil, but that's another problem. Look at all the footballers that we've bought historically: Sean Wright-Phillips, Sidwell, what's his name? The manager of Bournemouth, Scott Parker, who we had at the club as well. There are players that Sturridge, another one that we've not utilised. He went to Liverpool. Look at what he was doing there. We've not utilised. We've ruined players' careers as well. And I'm saying that harshly, but it's a fact.
It's true.
There's a chance that this guy comes for 60 mil. At the same time, I can't see Bowley signing off on something unless they really, really think that this guy's gonna. I don't think it's like Tuchel said, I just want him, and then Bow's going, no problem.
I think, and I think that's where we go. I think this is what we're getting into now, and that's why, even though I said I'm kind of a little bit iffy about it, the fact is, if Tuchel sees something in that guy, because it's coming from Tuchel, he goes, that's a guy that I can fit into my system and I can have here long term. Well, then that's backing the manager, because if Tuchel has been given that 5-year contract that we're hearing about, he obviously sees a place for him. Because don't forget, managers aren't just looking at this season. He's looking ahead to his vision of next season as well.
And do you know what? And the fans are moaning about, we've got to stop doing this, welcome to the circus, And it was we keep sacking managers, not having these big plans. But I remember when Lampard arrived, I was being told on Twitter by a few people that, it's a long-term project. I've heard about this, read about it. I remember a guy called Simon Johnson, who's at the Athletic now, who's at the Evening Standard, who wrote and said it's a big project. It's a 2-3 year plan. Then he moved to the Athletic, and the Athletic wrote about it's a 3-year plan. They're finally looking at this plan long term. They see Lampard as this and that. It's the biggest load of bullshit. It never was. The point is, he came in as a stopgap because there was a transfer ban and nobody else wanted to manage. They lost Hazard, our best player, who'd been top goal scorer for 2 seasons at that point, after Costa, in the league for Chelsea, or for the club, sorry. And that final season under Sarri, he had a phenomenal, it was probably one of his best seasons. I mean, the stats were phenomenal on both goals and assists. But the point is that, we've now got an opportunity with a proven manager. He's a cup manager, people say. And the league is different, of course it is, but he's won the league in at PSG, and he didn't leave. Let's be frank, as people were saying that he left because he fell out with the players. That's bullshit. He didn't. He left because he fell out with Leonardo. Okay, Leonardo, all right, has been sacked because he got sacked at AC Milan for the same problems. He was getting too involved with the players. So what was happening at PSG very quickly was that he was going. So the players like Mbappe and others were going directly to him and not Tuchel. And they were doing that with Pochettino as well. And that's what irked the managers to say, what the fuck, you come to me? I'm managing you. You got a fucking problem, you come to me and we'll sort it out. They weren't doing that. And then there was the shit stirring. So Tuchel said it was like politics. It was like dealing with politics at Paris Saint-Germain. I couldn't be a football coach. I had to be a politician. So he left. And I think he got to the point where he was complaining and it didn't work and they just sacked him. And the results were not going well, which does affect things, and that happened with Mourinho in the third season at Chelsea when he was getting players bought that he didn't want, like Shevchenko and others. So Tuchel is in a position now. He's got an owner that's backing him for the first time. He's got an opportunity now to build a team in his own mould that he's not had before. No other managers have properly. He's got a long-term, and let's see how that goes. But I think patience is needed. I think the fans, the Tuchel out's ridiculous. Give him this season, So,
right. Well, we're going to wrap up now.
We will do.
Only one more question, and I don't need.
You go for it.
I don't need analysis here. Neither of us are going to give analysis. We're going to visit this next week when it's done. Predictions for Saturday.
Fafana's definitely not playing for him. I think the only problem we've got is who's playing at the back. Or do we go 4 at the back?
I think
we haven't got.
Yeah.
I think we go 4 at the back. I would go 4-3-3 personally. I think we then got a very chance. I think actually we'll win it. We'll win the game, but it's how we're going to win the game. Easy, tough on ourselves. Is it one of those that, as always, we go 1-0 up or we're 2-1 up, and there's like 10 minutes to go and we're getting bombarded with a, I think we should be okay. I just think it's difficult to say what team come out. Score prediction. Okay.
I don't want you to wreck your head. Score prediction.
I'm going to go 2-1. Chelsea.
I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1.
And I think Kai and Mount get a couple.
Yeah. And do you know what? If Pulisic will do will get an assist. I think also midfielder. I don't know who's playing. Jorginho will be there, but I'm trying to think.
Kovacic is back.
Okay, cool. So I think if that's the case, I would play 3 midfield. I'd go 4-3-3. Seriously,
Jorginho sitting and Kovacic and Gallagher. Yeah.
Because then you got 3 there. But the only problem with that though is protecting Silva. That was the thing. I think I was reading that the reason he plays the 3 at the back is because it gives protection to Silva and Jorginho. But I think let's go with 4. Look, Leicester are playing shit. They got big problems. They will score a goal. They have it in them to score a goal without a doubt. They got the players to do that. They got the Vardy. They got obviously Maddison, etc. So they'll score. But I think we'll get enough in us to win it 2-1. But we do need a win. We have to get a win because Arsenal 7 points ahead of us at the moment, I think, aren't they? Or 5?
5.
Yeah. See, that could go if we draw and Arsenal win again. That's So we got to fucking win.
I'm not worried about Arsenal. I'm just saying that to all of you now. I'm saying it to all. Cool. We all know what Arsenal are.
So
just like the other lot over in North.
Yeah. So do me a favour. Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah. But and I'll be doing that on the plane actually. So do me a favour. WhatsApp me the result. Because I'll open my phone when I land.
Yeah,
I'll be mid-flight when Chelsea are playing. So when I land in Bodrum, I'll open my phone and hopefully it will have a text saying you was.
Exactly.
Look, I don't. Even if it's 3-1, I'm delighted if we just win. We need to.
It's okay as long as we get 2 points. I don't care if you're right. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But look, exactly. That is all we have time for this week. Do enjoy the match. Keep the fucking faith, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you all faithful do. But until next week, for me, your host, Ian Kelly, for Baris, who has a long flight on Saturday, wish him luck. We are over.
Yeah.
and out.